All right then folks, we are at the beautiful Tunnelbarn Farm Fishery today, where I'm going to be doing a little bit of controversial shallow fishing. Beautiful sort of 2.5 pound for ones like that. That's what you can expect. Should be snarled up. There we go. It's nuts, isn't it? Once you find the right depth, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Okay then folks, we are at the beautiful Tunnelbarn Farm Fishery today. Probably my favouriteest venue in the whole wide world. I do say that about every single venue though, but joking apart, there's something special about Tunnelbarn. I've been coming here personally for like probably 14 or 15 years and it's never ever disappointed. I don't really fish that many matches here, but you know, when I come and do some coaching or group days or, you know, instructional videos like this, it's just phenomenal. Doesn't matter what lake you sit on, you're guaranteed a day's fishing. Mainly F1s, which is perfect for what we're going to cover today, and that is, of course folks, it's me, it's a bit of shallow fishing. I bet you're thinking, for goodness sake Andrew, more shallow fishing, can you not do anything else? Well yeah, I can fish shallow on a waggler, I can fish a method in shallow water. Joking apart though, I'm going to be covering a little bit different. I don't think I've shown you this side of shallow fishing, and that is a little bit of controversy surrounding it, but more and more venues are allowing it, and that is the overshotting side of shallow fishing. It literally can't be beat folks, honestly. You know, obviously where it's not allowed, you've got the jiggers, inline dibbers and your normal sort of through the water floats, but when it's allowed you cannot beat overshotting floats or overshotted rigs should I say, and that is what I'm going to cover today. I've got a normal rig that I want to talk you through first, which, you know, I've taught you through loads and loads before, which I call my checker rig. So that's going to be getting slapped over, holding a tight line, seeing where the fish are, and then we're going to go in and extract them on these overshotted rigs. The thing with the normal rig these days, on a lot of venues, especially this time of year, where are we now? We're just at the beginning of June, the fish have just finished spawning, so they're hungry, and they get flipping hard to hit on normal conventional standard rigs. So if you didn't have these other rigs in your armoury, you're just missing out on too many fish basically. Yeah, you can fish on the bottom, you can have a good day on this, that and the other, but to be honest folks, these matches, certainly the big qualifiers, I'm going to come on to a big qualifier in a sec actually, you need to be fishing shallow to win, and that leads me on perfectly to the Golden Reel final that we just qualified for probably 2 weeks ago at the beautiful Partridge Lakes. And I pretty much fished that exactly I'm going to show you today. Started off, in fact I didn't start off on a checker rig, just went straight in overshotted, but the difference with that day, apart from drawing an absolutely fantastic peg, I had more top kits done up to cover the depths. I've got my checker rig, and I've got another 3 overshotted rigs from sort of 10 inches, I've got a 15-inch one, cheeky, and I've got a 20-inch one, just to cover them depths. But match conditions folks, these fish are moving, they're only moving a couple of inches, so I would have sort of 6, 7, 8 top kits ranging from 8 to 10 inches all the way down to sort of like 20, 22 inches, but we don't need to cover that today. I just want to show you the basics and the principles of it. We'll cover bait in a sec, well after I've done the rigs we'll cover bait, but it's dead simple folks. So first things first then. Now I'm fishing over to a reed bed, which is probably 14.5 metres away. It's overcast folks, I know. I'll be able to get these fish sort of like halfway, you know, sort of like 6, 7, 8 metres in the deeper bit of water, but the sun's due out. It might not come out when we're filming, but the sun's due out later and you simply must fish to cover. I think starting off wise like this, if I was in a match I probably would start off down the middle with the option of definitely going to cover. As long as you've got, say, I mean you will catch in shallow water to cover, but ideally you want 3 foot. If it's deeper than 3 foot, get ready, just fish all day there to cover and you'll not go wrong, because obviously once you've got the fish competing, they just feel so confident in cover, whereas open water, They've been extracted in open water lots and lots, these shallow fish, so I'm not going to say you don't catch them, because obviously you do, but it's far better fishing to cover, so that's what we're going to go to. Now, short kits, I want to say short frees are a must, but certainly short kits. I've not got my short free in at the minute because it's just too far away, and I've left my 16 metre section in the van. So that's why I've got a long number 3 kit in, but I've got a short kit, which are a must. So elastic in all the top kits, folks, is 11's Jura. Fantastic elastic. I'll use this all summer when it's like proper angry F1 fishing, when they get to like, you know, sort of £2 plus, £2.5 plus. That's when I'll go to our 13's Jura hybrid. But for all like the little babby ones, we're gonna get the odd little babby roach, road, skimmer, things like that. We don't want to be bumping them, so that's why an 11's Jura is absolutely perfect elastic. Connection wise with the little bead, I think that's important as well, because you get a nice smooth connection. And then, so my first rig is the one that I've talked about loads for you folks, yeah, and that is just the one, my checker rig through the water. So we've got 0.18 AccuPower on every single rig today. That bad boy, yeah, 0.18 AccuPower, nice and robust, don't need to go any lighter. You could go thicker if you wanted to, but you certainly don't need to go any lighter. I think if you go thicker as well, it does avoid tangles, but in this instant, 0.18, more than enough. Now, you notice there quite a long bit of line pole tip to float. Now, that is one of the worst things, certainly with regards to catching F1s or hide. I don't think there's any hide in here, but certainly F1s, that is where you're going to miss bites. The length of line between your pole tip and float, and that's the difference between carp fishing shallow and F1 fishing shallow. But I just want to show you this rig with how versatile it is, and certainly with having like a number 8 back shot there, it does help you hit more bites. I've said it now, haven't I? We are going to miss bites on this rig, folks, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest, because all I'm using it for is just that first sort of 5-10 minutes, check where the fish are through the water. Yeah, so if my float's at that kind of angle, then I know they're shallower when I'm getting a bite. If it's obviously at that angle and it's settled, I'm getting a bite, then I know I'm at the correct depth. So I'm instantly going to come back and put the corresponding overshotted rig on. And all it is, it's an F1 shallow float. Takes it's a 4B8, it takes 3 number 11 stots, that's all. I've got one under the float, another one sort of halfway between that and the hook length loop, and then another one on the hook length loop, and I've got one of our pre-tied hooks on, a 16s to 0.13, 4 inches. Absolutely perfect. I'd use 4 inches for all my self-made hook lengths anyway, but 4 inches pre-tied, absolutely bang on, folks. Now, the beauty of using a banded hook is, because we're using maggots today, folks, a lot of the time you get mouthed with the small fish, or SHIT fish as I like to call them, if you're putting the bait straight in the hook. What I found with using a banded maggot, you don't get as many. Yeah, we're going to get the odd one, but you certainly don't get as many as what you would if you're putting the bait straight on the hook. Now, the other thing as well, I can change instantly like that. If I am getting mouthed with small fish, little babby fish, I can change to pellets, banded formula pellet. Or, casters as well. If I was feeding casters, I could band a caster and also a red pellet, which works particularly well. And again, it just avoids the attention. Yeah, avoids the attention of a little babby fish. So get on the bands, folks, rather than putting bait straight in the hook. It does make a big difference. So that's the first rig that we're going to go on. Even got maggot on everything ready to go, haven't we? That's probably from 2 weeks ago, partridge that, folks. And I'm not actually lying. Probably is. And then we've got a series of, I'm going to show you these. I'm going to bring them all down. A series of overshotted floats. Now, it's one of them, folks, that overshotting, yeah, it's controversial, but I'm finding more and more fisheries are allowing it. I've never ever had a problem with overshotting, simply because you don't really foul hook. Well, again, I've said it now, haven't I? You don't really foul hook them. Everything's in the mouth, whereas rigs like that, you have potential to foul hook them. And as long as you get your feeding right and find out what depths of fish are, it's just phenomenal, folks. The difference between fishing like conventionally, should we say, as we used to, like through the water rigs, dibber rigs, jigger rigs, and using these, it's just like night and day. Honestly, folks, you'll see it later on. So what I've got, as I say, I've only got 3 done up today. I've got one at 10 inches. You can see that 10 inches there. I've got one around sort of 15 inches, and then this one here is around sort of 20 inches. Depending on the clarity of the water, depends usually on what depth of fish are happy feeding at. But even when it's gin clear, you know, the water, obviously the fish have spawned, fish are up in the water, they're actively feeding now, so the water's not going to be as coloured as what it will be when, you know, they get their heads down going into sort of autumn. It doesn't bother me, you know, fishing like really shallow. They'll come sort of like 6-8 inches. You can see them flashing sometimes, and they will come really, really shallow. So let me talk you through these rigs then. So again, exactly the same main line on them all, folks, 0.18 main line. I've just got one of our 410s dibbers on, and it's shotted with 4 number 8s, just to like quite a bit overshot it. The other beauty as well, it's got quite a bit of wind on today if it gets up. Now I want my rig to be nice and stable. What I'll be doing is a series of flicks, you know, mimicking that bait falling through. I'll talk you through that in a sec, but I want my rig to be nice and stable, so 4 number 8s gives me that stability, so my rig's staying nice and put. And then you can see there it's just halfway with that bulk, and then I've got a 4-inch hook length on again, pre-tied. Really simple. There's nothing complicated with the rig or anything like that, but you do need, certainly match conditions, obviously pleasure fishing, 2 or 3 top kits is more than enough, but match conditions you've got to have sort of 6, 7, 8 on the go, just to cover them depth changes or depth variations every couple of inches. The next one, 15 inches, exactly the same again, folks, and I've got 4 number 8s on this one again, banded maggot. Yeah, no difference at all. And then again on the 20-inch one, exactly the same again. I've just got another 2 number 8 stots on this one, just because it's a little bit deeper water, just to sort of like keep that rig a little bit more stable. Wind's getting up now, right on cue. Notice how short the line is, pole tip to float. Again, overshotting. I don't know if, yeah, there shouldn't be a limit to your pole tip to float if you can overshot. If you're allowed to overshot, there shouldn't be a limit. But if there is, if it was 4 inches or so, just slide that float down to 4 inches. I don't know of any venue now where you can't not have an indicator on, like a float. Back in the day, you could just use to have a little bit of line, and obviously it's changed from using BBs and this, that and the other, folks. But back in the day, you were allowed that. Now you must have an indicator on, so that's why I've got a little float on. Elastic's the same on all of them. Yeah, 11's Jura. And the thing with it is, when we get going, it's basically the little flicks. So basically what I'll be doing is putting my pole tip slightly under the water, and then it'll be these little flicks that I'll be causing by my elbow. I think it's my elbow, it might be my knee. I don't know now. We'll have to see when we get going, won't we? But pole tip straight under the water, little flicks, little flicks. Only lifting it sort of like 4 inches. Then what happens, I'll demonstrate with this hook length here. As you're flicking that rig out, what happens, your shots is like that. So you're lifting the shots out, and then your hook bait's up here. That drops nice and quick, and then as that hook bait's falling, it's nice and natural. But by the time the fish have sucked that bait in, gone to spit it out, you've already lifted up again. Most of the fish come from when you're lifting up, doing that sharp jerk, if you like. Occasionally I'll leave it settled. Usually when I go to feed, I'll leave it settled, and you can catch them that way. And other times I'll lower that pole tip slightly lower under the water, see if they've gone a little bit deeper, and you can catch them that way as well. Even just lowering it down slow, you know, sort of jigging, if you like, you know, how fast you think your hook bait's falling. If you can lower that overshotted rig the same manner, then you can catch fish sometimes that way. But by far the best is to jig it. That's the rigs talk through. Next thing is bait. Dead simple. I did touch upon, if you are getting mired with small fish, then obviously that's where pellets come into it, casters. But literally all we've got today is a tub, 2 pints of white magpies. That's it. Nice and simple. I'm fully expecting to feed all them, folks. The other thing, obviously match conditions, pleasure fishing's different. I want to say you need a pint an hour, sometimes more. If there's a lot of small fish in your peg, obviously you need more of the natural baits to feed them off. If there is a lot of small fish and you've not got the natural baits, then just go into pellets. If there's eyes in a venue, you're gonna miss out on them because they don't really eat pellets unless they're absolutely blooming starving. If I was an I'd eat pellets because I'd always be hungry. But yeah, if you can't get away with sort of like maggots, casters, go to pellets. You'll catch carp. Will you catch carp? You do catch odd carp on this rig, but it's more suited for everything else. F1s and everything else, everything. Carp, you'll get odd ones on it, but carp usually come from this rig, fishing proper for them. You know, a nice slappy rig through the water. And that's it, yeah, 2 pints of maggots. I'm fully expecting to feed all them. let's see how we get on, folks. So as I said, we're going to go in with that checker rig, see where the fish are. I'm 100% guaranteed I'm going to miss bites, and that's why we change off that rig pretty quick, go on the overshotted ones, and then it's usually game on and get ready time. So without further ado, let's go and snare some fishies. Right then, folks, let's get on it. So we are already baited up. I've given it sort of 5 or 6 catapult fulls of maggots. I'm probably feeding, I'm going to say sort of 25, 30 maggots, something like that. Give it another few. I'm initially going in at a depth of around, what's that, probably 14 inches or something, because I can see them swirling. Don't think they're F1s at the minute, the little silverfish, but I don't want to go too deep. So let's get that on with a banded white magpie. I'm just going to feed again quickly. There we go, and then chip out. Important that your rollers are right for this as well, folks. So your back one's slightly higher than the front one. Here we go. Right, so a couple of slaps over first, and then I'm going to make sure this he was on straight away then, probably a little fish. I'm going to make sure this catapult stays in my hand, see what I mean? That's 2 bites we've missed already, folks, yeah? And that's what happens with this rig, but it's letting me know where the fish are. Both of them bites have come through the water. That was around about set depth, that was. So you see what I'm trying to do? I'm slapping that rig out, holding a tight line, but you see every time I'm missing every single one. Every single fish. It could be small fish, but I know what blooming F1s bite like as well. There's certainly no shortage of fish over there. Yeah? No shortage of fish whatsoever. So this rig, as I say, it's set at 14 inches. We've had a bite pretty much every go in so far. I'm going to show you very shortly the difference between this rig and then the overshotted ones. I say, even though like most of my fishing is going to be done overshotting in matches these days that allow it, you've still got to start off on this checker rig just to see where they are. I'm quite happy that there's enough fish up to sort of 14 inches, maybe 15 inches. So what I'll do initially is go in, yeah, that's enough for me, folks, I've seen enough. What I'll do initially is go on my deeper rig. So I'm going to get my 15 incher out, cheeky. I'm going to get my 15-inch rig out. Yeah, that's all it takes. What's that taking, like? Not even 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, that's it. Done, dusted. Now I've got these in order, that's important as well. I always start from shallowest to deepest. I'm going to go for my middle one, my 15-inch one. He's already banded. I've got my little bulker shot on. Now it's this technique that I want to go through with you when we're over there, folks, yeah? It's so important you're getting this technique right. Again, put some bait in before we get over there. And then even more so with this, because your float is right close to your pole tip, make sure it's close to the water all the time. I just like to dip my pole tip in the water. So once you're over there now, that's set in place, I'll just slightly put my pole tip under the water, and it's a series of little flicks like that. And all I'm going to do, when I go to feed, I'm just going to pause, hold that rig there, and then go to feed round it. But it's them little flicks you imagine as you're flicking it, your bait's coming up and then it's falling back ever so natural. And most of the time you're hooking the fish on that upwards lift like that, because the fish take it as it's falling back natural, that bait. But by the time the fish go to spit your bait out, you've already struck up. It's just a case of waiting now, folks. There you go. Oh, and he fell off. I think it was a little tiny fish. Dropped my blooming catapult in the water. Never mind, we've got another one. So again, we'll go for that. Little lifts. Now, match conditions, I'd only leave it sort of not even a minute sometimes, and if I've not had a bite at one particular depth, I'll come back and I'll put, usually if I'm not getting a bite, I'll put a deeper rig on, unless obviously I can really see him, you know, sort of he's on. Unless I've got that one as well. Unless I can really sort of see him swirling, then I'll put a shallower rig on. It just shows the effectiveness of it, folks, yeah? So we've gone from getting them little dinky bites, potentially small fish, they probably were small fish, small silvers, to putting this overshotted rig on and catching an F1. Just look at the size of them, folks. It's just night and day, innit? It's absolutely ridiculous. And because we're banding, you know, it's such a fast way of fishing. Yeah, maggot's still on. Beautiful sort of 2.5 pound for ones like that. That's what you can expect. But this is the beauty of the banded bait. Maggot's still on. Check them shots and you're straight back in business again. This is what it was like for me at Partridge the other week, folks, and the Golden Meal qualifier. It's just, oh, I'll just do the perfect peg for me, fishing shallow. It was amazing. So again, keep that rig nice and low to the water. I'm not going to change depth again. I'm not going to go on a deeper or a shallower one. We've had one at that depth. And then tuck it into them reeds, let it sink, and it's a series of them little flicks. Sometimes just pause with your pole tip on the water, and then other times as you're fed, lower that bait down. You know, almost like you were jigging. That can sometimes work, but by far the best is that, them little flicks. That's by far the best technique. And then all it's a case of is obviously keeping that bait going in, but changing around with the depth. If it was really sunny, then what I'd probably do is go a little bit further into the reeds, you know, try that. But as I said, days like this, you will get them away from the reeds, definitely. But it's that noise as well, you know, the fish are attracted to the noise of the pole tip. I'm only going to leave it 10, there we go, he's on. So I'm going to leave it another 10 or 12 seconds before I change depth. Now obviously we're only starting, folks, yeah, this is live, real time, we're only just starting. Normally I'd be like starting off on a top kit with pellets or something like that. Getting a good run, 20 or 30 minutes or so before I even attempt to go shallow. You know, get a few fish there first, get them competing and that. Perfect in the top lip. That's the other thing as well to bear in mind is where you're hooking the fish. They should all be around the top part of the mouth. If ever they're in sort of like the bottom part, then that generally means that the fish are shallower than what you're fishing. So just pick your shallow rig up and then you should start hooking in the top lip. Very important that you're noting where you're hooking them when you're fishing shallow. When you're fishing like that through the water rig, that checker rig if you like, you'll hook them any old way then, you know, using the side of the mouth of the fish is coming into the bait and then charging off with it, the turning away, so that's why you hook them in the side of the mouth. But certainly with the likes of this, you will start hooking them in the bottom, so that's when I will change depth. So I've had 2 fish at that depth. That one took a little bit longer, that little babby one, and I was just about to think about changing rigs, maybe to a slightly deeper one. I'm not seeing anything swirl as yet, because I said we've only just blooming started, haven't we? But there could be that little bit deeper. When there's not a lot competing there, obviously you go back to that checker rig, you know, because that will catch your fish when there's not loads there. But when there's a lot of fish there competing, you simply can't beat this rig. You know, you don't need to worry about, you know, slapping it over, so you can tuck it into, you know, into reeds and under bushes and trees and all that as well, because there's no slapping involved. It's just them little flicks. Such an effective way of fishing. I'm just gonna lower this one down with me bait, so we can catch one that way. There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna, again, 10 seconds, and I'm gonna come back and put a deeper rig on. Or a 20-inch one I'm gonna put on. Yeah, that's enough of that. It's those anglers that are quickest to change are the ones who are most successful at this style of fishing. It's such a busy way of fishing, and just leave that baited up so it's nice and quick for the next time you come back onto it. Yeah, it's such a busy way of fishing, and time flies by when you're on it as well, folks. So dead easy to band a maggot, literally using one of our bander baits. All 4 prongs straight into the band, open the band out, get a nice white magpie. He goes in, you want to put it down sort of like halfway, chop the bander bait down, and then make sure your thumbnail is on the band, and then just pull the band out, and that's up perfect every single time for you. Make sure, I mean obviously if you're using the pre-tied hooks, they're on the micro bands anyway, but make sure you are using the micro bands if you're going to, you know, tie some hooks yourself. But Don't tie hooks yourself, folks, just use a free tie. Right, so we're on the 20-inch one now, which is probably around sort of, I'm going to say it's about 10 or 12 inches off the bottom where this one's settled to. And we'll see what happens with this. So we'll just give this one sort of, again, not long, a minute, no more than 2 minutes, just to see. And if this one's not working, what I'll do is I'll go back on the checker rig just to see if there's still a few there, and it might be that we need to go shallower. There you go. See what I mean? See how quick that was? Just going that little bit deeper, just because they've not sort of like settled down yet, because I've only just started. You've got to find where the fish are confident at first. But just that change then, what's that taking, like 30 seconds, something like that. That's how quick it can be changing. Little babby ones. Oh, he made it in the reeds then, he did. Got some weed on him. How dare he? Little babby one. So where's he hooked? He's hooked in the bottom lip, so that tells me it's a little bit shallow with that one. I'm not going to change just yet. I'm going to have another go on that rig, because that was a lot quicker. The fish is so warm as well, folks. I'd imagine if we stayed here for, you know, a few hours today, if it was match conditions, obviously that'd come alive over there and we'd be getting these fish, you know, proper shallow. I'd imagine sort of like 8-10 inches, something like that. And he's Burgundy Magwai as well. Doesn't take long to change it though, does he? So, back on that rig then, 20-inch one. So we can have another quick response. Yeah, just take your time when you're shipping out, make sure that rig's always in the water. And so I just like to dip my pole tip in the water. There we go, it's settled again, and then just start with them little flicks. Yeah, I'm using my elbow. I don't know whether it's my elbow or my leg, but it's the back of my elbow. So my elbow that's on the pole, I'm just using that ever so slightly, just to lift up. Come on, the fishies. So what I'll do after this one, I'm going to put that checker rig back on, just to see if they're even shallower. Sometimes you'll get them shallow and you'll not even see them swirl or anything like that. But you go in with a really shallow rig, like an 8 or a 10-inch one, and they're there. It's mad sometimes how they bypass. Yes, that's nuts, innit? One, hey up, that's, hurry up, he's on. That was all in. It's mad, isn't it? One straight away, and then that's taking a bit of time. Right? He's gone right into the blooming reeds, this one. He's out. It's just nuts, isn't it? What I will do, just to show you, I'm going to put that. So obviously we've had, what if you had 4 fish there? Every one of them, yeah? Every one of them in the mouth, done, dusted. Obviously we're not seeing bites, but that's how effective it is. I'm just going to show you, that was in the top lip again, that one, folks. I'm just going to show you, if you're fishing the wrong rig, what happens. He did make it into the weeds, him. Little Bugwai. So I'm going to put that one away. Go back on with the checker one, just to show you the difference. Leave it at that set depth, probably, yeah, it's 14 to 15 inches. Still got my banded Magwai on. But I just want to show you the difference with this rig, because there's fish there, but we will miss bites on this rig. Again, so, and you're fishing a lot quicker, obviously overshotted. This, you're slapping, this, that and the other. So you see, that was through the water, it's probably settled about now. So slap that over again once it's settled. And it's just a case of, again, checking where the fish are. So remember from when we first started, we were getting all them missed bites from like now to like where it's settled. We're not getting that. So it tells us that, you know, that deeper rig that we've just been on, it's probably right, the right choice. But what I'd do with this one, obviously I'd come back and put another sort of 4 inches on it, but yeah, see, another missed bite. They are holding that a little bit deeper. So what I'm going to do in a sec is come back and put, yeah, there we go, see 2 missed bites. You just don't get that on the overshotted. Mad, isn't it? I'll come back in a sec, put that 20-inch rig on again, and then we'll go from there. But it's all about finding where the fish are. I've had three missed bites at that set depth of like 15 inches. So you can see how quick the fishing is. You're always on the go. Time absolutely flies by when you're fishing shallow. But we're not even up one. Not even up one on this rig, folks, have we? That's the difference. So every fish was settled, or every bite that we had then was at that settled depth. I'm going to go back on my deeper one, which was this one, this 20-inch one. And this is exactly what I'll be doing in a match. You've got to be on the ball with it. Obviously, pleasure fishing's a little bit different. You can just, you know, sit it out, wait kind of thing, you know, until the fish arrive at that set depth. But when you're in a match, you've got to be on it. Got to be on the ball with it. So magpies in first. And they're not going to stay at this depth either. They will move, and usually they'll come shallower. Certainly without them warm the fish out today, they'll come shallower. So here we go then. In with that 20-inch one. Start my series of flicks. Feed. Keep them flicks going. There we go. How quick was that? Yeah, that's the difference. It's on the wrong rig at the wrong time. It's just, how good is this fishing, folks? It's just ridiculous, isn't it? You literally can't beat it. Now, the other thing that I'm not doing, if there was anglers either side of me, what I'll be doing is stopping sort of halfway back, maybe unshipping if it was a bigger fish, but stopping halfway back, keeping that bait going in. Yeah, it's so important that you're carrying on doing that, because if you don't, then anglers either side of you fishing shallow, they will be nicking your fish. These are nice and go on, F1s. Again, look where he's hooked. Perfect in the top lip. See, that's what I mean. If Jamie zooms in on that, you can see he's hooked on the top lip. That's where you need to be hooking him. If ever they're down there, like that first one we had on this was down that bottom lip, so I was thinking maybe they've come a bit shallower. But the last two I've had there have been in the top lip. And how quick is it as well with that banded magpie? So I'm going to catch probably one more, and then that's pretty much controversial overshotting shallow rigs in a one for you folks. There's nothing much really to go through. Don't let ducks put you off. You know, I think ducks are massively important in keeping fish in your peg, or even drawing fish into your peg. They just give the fish so much confidence. Really do, so don't get rid of them. And obviously with a rig like this, they won't affect you anyway. So go back to that rig. Little flicks going. We should be snarled up. There we go. It's nuts, isn't it? Once you find the right depth, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm in my element. I am literally in my element, folks. I absolutely adore it. You've seen it in one. You can't beat this style of fishing. So fast, so efficient, everything's hooked nice. It's just phenomenal. So the only downside, you don't really catch many carp on it, but obviously a lot of these venues now, they're stuffed full of F1s. Carp, you can worry about the carp later on, you know what I mean? So I think we're going to end it on this little babby one here, folks. But just bear in mind, yeah, again, he's hooked perfectly in the top lip. Beautiful little one to end on. Just bear in mind, if they're in the bottom part of the lip, keep changing your rigs. Keep changing to the checker one as well, making sure the fish are in your peg. Obviously we went back on that, missed some 3 bites, knew we were at the right depth, so went back on this rig, and we've had 2 or 3 quick ones straight away. I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. I certainly have. I'm going to carry on for like 2 days. Please, folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and that's going to tell you when we're putting out these fantastic videos for all you lovely lot to enjoy. Hope you've enjoyed it, folks. I'm going to catch me some more. Yeah!